first, we're a little nervous in that first impression. And so we take up as little space as possible. We turtle down, we shrink up. That immediately shortens my vocal power, right? It has less oxygen. I have more tension in my neck. I also tend to clench my jaw, which then creates a little bit less volume, which then makes me sound nervous. And then I use, as you said, uptalk.
Vanessa Van Edwards explains that during first impressions, many people unconsciously adopt a prey posture, characterized by shrinking their body and minimizing their presence. This posture reduces vocal power due to less oxygen intake and increased muscle tension, which in turn makes the speaker sound nervous. Additionally, the use of uptalk, a rising intonation at the end of statements, further signals uncertainty or submissiveness. This trifecta of body language and vocal cues can undermine perceived competence and confidence. Understanding these patterns is crucial because they often happen unconsciously, especially in high-stakes situations like interviews or presentations. By becoming aware of these behaviors, individuals can consciously adopt more expansive postures, control their vocal tone, and avoid uptalk to project greater confidence and authority. This insight is particularly valuable for those who feel socially awkward or anxious, as it provides a clear roadmap to improve first impressions and communication effectiveness.
Competence without warmth is likely to leave us feeling suspicious. And suspicious, that is the killer, because what happens is someone gets in the room, they're hyper focused on the numbers and the idea, which is great, but they get in the room, they think, my ideas will speak for themselves. I don't need to add warmth. And then they don't even know what warmth would be.
Vanessa highlights the critical balance between warmth and competence in social and professional interactions. Competence alone, especially when overly focused on technical skills or data, can make others feel suspicious or disconnected. Warmth, on the other hand, signals trustworthiness and approachability, which are essential for building rapport and gaining buy-in. She references the stereotype content model, which shows that people assess others primarily on these two dimensions. For individuals, especially those in technical or analytical roles, learning to convey warmth through nonverbal cues like open body language, eye contact, and genuine smiles can significantly enhance how their competence is received. This balance is increasingly important in the age of AI and automation, where soft skills like empathy and interpersonal intelligence become key differentiators. Vanessa's work encourages people to consciously integrate warmth into their communication to avoid being perceived as cold or intimidating, thereby improving relationships and career outcomes.
Mirroring is the subtle mimicking or copying, mirroring of someone's cues. And actually, I take a bigger approach to mirroring, which is it's nonverbal, it can be verbal, it can also be vocal. And I like to think about it in all three ways.
Mirroring involves subtly matching another person's body language, vocal tone, and verbal style to create a sense of alignment and respect. Vanessa explains that this technique is a powerful, nonverbal form of communication that signals engagement and rapport without requiring agreement on content. It can be as simple as nodding when the other person nods, matching their speaking pace, or adopting similar word choices. However, Vanessa cautions that mirroring must be subtle and authentic. Overt or exaggerated copying can come across as mocking or insincere. When done well, mirroring helps build trust and makes conversations flow more smoothly, which is especially useful in negotiations, interviews, or social settings. It demonstrates that you are meeting the other person where they are, fostering connection and mutual understanding. This technique is accessible to anyone willing to observe and adapt their communication style thoughtfully.
1, it shows, as you said, I feel comfortable enough with you that I don't feel I have to block my vital organs. But more importantly, I think there's a synchronization that happens when our toes, torso, and head are on the same level, that we are parallel. Literally, our bodies are parallel.
Vanessa discusses fronting, which is positioning your body so that your toes, torso, and head face directly toward the person you are interacting with. This posture signals comfort, openness, and trust because it shows you are not protecting your vulnerable front. Fronting creates a sense of synchronization and alignment between people, facilitating better communication and connection. However, Vanessa notes that in some contexts, such as when someone needs to feel less scrutinized or more comfortable sharing vulnerable information. Side-by-side positioning may be preferable. Understanding when to front and when to adopt a less direct orientation can help manage social dynamics effectively. This insight is particularly useful in professional settings, therapy, or intimate conversations where reading and responding to nonverbal cues can improve outcomes.
But when you're going to interview, and you said it, I think exactly right, is competence is going to be incredibly important for worth and your value, right? Showing I have the skills to bring to this job and we pay for skills. But there is a time issue here. And the research shows that when we first meet someone, we're trying to quickly answer two questions. Can I trust you? And can I rely on you? And they're chronological. Trust goes first, reliance goes second.
Vanessa emphasizes that in salary negotiations or interviews, the first impression must establish trust, warmth, before demonstrating reliability, competence. Warmth cues like visible hands, open palms, genuine smiles, and eye contact signal that you are trustworthy and not hiding anything. Once trust is established, you can assert your competence by clearly articulating your skills, problem-solving abilities, and value to the organization. Vanessa advises breaking social scripts with assertive but warm questions that engage the interviewer positively, such as asking, "What's good today?" instead of generic greetings. Nonverbal competence cues include purposeful gestures, avoiding self-touching behaviors that signal anxiety, and leaning in to show engagement. This approach helps candidates move beyond appearing as supplicants and instead positions them as valuable problem solvers and allies, increasing the likelihood of successful negotiations.
So, when you get on stage and you're trying to very quickly build trust, your competence is there. You're going to speak without notes. Great. The way that you physiologically produce warmth is by trying to make eye contact with individual people in the audience.
Vanessa highlights the physiological and psychological importance of eye contact and gestures in public speaking. Eye contact with individual audience members produces oxytocin, a hormone associated with trust and bonding, which helps both the speaker and the audience feel connected and calm. She recommends making eye contact with attentive listeners and nodding to encourage engagement. Gestures serve as visual notes that reinforce verbal messages, making complex ideas easier to understand and remember. Purposeful, explanatory gestures increase information retention and credibility. Vanessa also advises against overusing notes, as it can distract the audience and signal a lack of mastery. Instead, speakers should use slides or visual aids to reduce cognitive load. These techniques help speakers convey warmth and competence simultaneously, enhancing their overall charisma and effectiveness.
Soft skills can be learned even if they don't come naturally to you. The amount of a pause, how long should a pause be? How many pumps in a handshake?
Vanessa shares her personal journey as a recovering awkward person who transformed her social skills through deliberate study and practice. She advocates treating social skills like any other subject, learning the rules, patterns, and nuances of conversation, body language, and interaction mechanics. By understanding specifics such as the ideal length of pauses, the appropriate number of handshake pumps, and how to read nonverbal cues, individuals can reduce anxiety and increase confidence in social situations. This approach demystifies social interactions and empowers people to engage more authentically and effectively. Vanessa's experience underscores that awkwardness is not a fixed trait, but a set of behaviors that can be improved with knowledge and effort.
A nonverbal bridge is this idea that I came up with as I observed people in interaction. I noticed that as they were getting closer, they would slowly cross into a closer zone. But we don't like it when someone fully steps into the zone. So instead, there are these nonverbal bridges that we can actually use to create intimacy, which is we reach out and shake hands.
Vanessa introduces the concept of nonverbal bridges as subtle ways to gradually increase intimacy and closeness in interactions without violating personal space boundaries. Human proxemics research shows that people maintain different zones of distance, public, social, personal, and intimate, based on emotional closeness. Nonverbal bridges like handshakes, leaning forward slightly, gesturing into someone's space, or handing over an object serve as transitional cues that warm up the interaction and prepare both parties for closer connection. These behaviors help avoid discomfort or the ick factor caused by sudden invasions of personal space. Understanding and using nonverbal bridges can improve rapport building in professional, social, and romantic contexts by respecting unspoken social rules while fostering connection.
Warm folks, their main goal is to be liked. Competent folks, their main goal is to be right. Neither of those are right or wrong, but it plays out differently in relationships.
Vanessa discusses how warmth and competence manifest differently in personality and social interactions. Warm individuals prioritize being liked and often signal openness and friendliness, which can lead to being interrupted or dominated in conversations. Competent individuals focus on being correct and may come across as intimidating or cold, which can hinder relationship building despite their expertise. Both traits have advantages and challenges, and success often requires balancing them. For example, highly competent people need to lubricate their expertise with warmth to gain buy-in and collaboration. Conversely, warm people may need to assert competence to be taken seriously. Recognizing these dynamics helps individuals tailor their communication style to different contexts and goals, improving both personal and professional relationships.